I like to think about how far we've come in video games over the years. In just a few generations, we had arcade machines, to home consoles, to online multiplayer, to even now having virtual reality. We have made leaps and bounds. However, there is one piece of gaming kit which I think deserves its own Brainspill video, mainly because it was so integral to the rebirth of video games at a time when video games were public enemy number one. Hello! Welcome to Brainspill, the laziest show on the internet. My name is Tank, and this is R.O.B, otherwise known as Nintendo's robotic operating buddy. This robot was a toy accessory for the NES system, which to most who have never seen this thing before, probably scratching their heads and wondering why Nintendo made a robot. As a matter of fact, for most people watching, if you weren't born in the 80s, you probably recognise R.O.B as the playable character in the popular gaming franchise Super Smash Bros., which, for some strange reason, he unnervingly manages to get to the very top of the tier lists every single time. How is he that good of a fighter? Look, if you go online and watch a video about R.O.B, 9 times out of 10 the creator is probably going to take the piss out of it. But I'm here to defend R.O.B, and I think that this little guy actually saved the bacon of the video game industry. And as strange of a decision this seems on the surface, actually is quite a stroke of brilliance. Let me take you back to 1983. Something happened to the video game industry in this year, particularly in the United States, when the market was flooded with a barrage of rubbish games, poor quality products, and quickly produced titles thrown out to just sweep up some quick sales. This led to the video game crash of 1983. Numerous video game developers and companies filed for bankruptcy during this time, with sentiments for home consoles waning, bringing into question if there would even be a future for video games at all, with consoles such as the Atari 2600, the Intellivision, and the Game & Watch. With the industry in such dire straits at this time, it needed someone bold, someone forward-thinking, and someone with the ingenuity to think of something truly innovative to really do something that no one else has ever done. And that includes deciding to make a robot. Yes, during the time of the video game crash, where there's a general lack of appetite for video games, nobody wants to spend $30 to $40 in a shop for another ET game. Therefore, most stores simply decided to not opt to have video games in their stores in the first place. Effectively, the entire medium was painted with a single brush. Nintendo had just released the Famicom in Japan of the same year, with a view of releasing it in the other parts of the world, including North America, in the coming years. Off the back of this crash, they decided to rebrand the Famicom to the Nintendo Entertainment System, or the infamous NES. This console is pretty much a poster child for anybody that decides to base their entire personality on one video game console. And if you're going to pick one, it's probably the NES. This is as iconic as it gets. So, as part of this rebranding, they decided to change the Famicom, which looked like this, to the NES, which then looked like this. But that wasn't really the stroke of brilliance here. The extra additional choice they made was to include a piece of kit, which, like I said, came in a robotic form. Yes, Nintendo made these changes so that the NES was not just another gaming console, but they wanted it to stand out as a new platform meant to revolutionize home entertainment and how users experience a console more as a toy than they would as a gaming console. Yeah, I mean, you could have this grey box that plays video games, but if you get one, you also get this awesome ass robot. His name is R.O.B, and look how cute he is. Yes, get this and you can get R.O.B too. And not gonna lie, if I was a kid back then I would be all over that. Who doesn't want a robot in their house? That was the trick here. You might not necessarily want the console itself alone, but with something awesome to tag with it, that gives people the reason to get both in one go. The robot doesn't work without the NES, so if you want the robots, you gotta get them both. Meaning that this was a great way to get the consoles into people's homes. Sort of like a Trojan horse, or something like that. The release of the NES came with 2 games that were compatible with R.O.B, or should I say, 2 officially licensed video games from Nintendo which weren't included in the pile of landfill games the market had seen previously. These would be Nintendo's robot series, Gyromite and Stack Up. Gyromite is a platformer where you control the main character, running around and collecting dynamite. But the cool part, or the gimmick some might call it, is that the game can be played with R.O.B on the second controller with you. R.O.B functions to pick up spinning gyros on either side of him, which are dropped on large coloured button levers, coloured red and green, which correspond with the obstacles found in the game. So, you press start, the game flashes different colours, which communicates with R.O.B's sensors in his eyes, and as he watches the screen, determines what he needs to press in order to allow you to proceed. So, R.O.B watches the screen, he presses the button, and then R.O.B's your uncle. Yes, you can either wait for your robot companion a whole 20 seconds to decide what he's doing before he presses the button, or you could lean over and press the button yourself, but either way, it was a brand new way to play these games. The other game, known as Stack Up, pretty much speaks for itself. R.O.B has to stack things in front of him. It's all part of the game, people. Truly exhilarating gameplay. Look, you're not going to see R.O.B playing Contra, Bomberman or Double Dragon. He can play only these 2 games, which might make you wonder why on earth people got this robot in the first place. I mean, yeah, the game sucked, but that was not the point of R.O.B for Nintendo anyway. They wanted a reason to get the consoles into people's homes, and this stroke of pure brilliance of getting the console and the wide array of titles it had, including the industry standard of licensing third-party video game developers to produce and distribute games for the console, making the games actually decent and making the NES truly the next level in gaming. So yeah, people would buy the NES mainly for R.O.B in 1985. And then after that, realising that the gimmick of having R.O.B quickly wore off, people would then probably look at the console and realise that it is actually a lot more than you first thought. There is a lot of good games in this thing, and really, I mean, it's a no-brainer. It's the NES, people. That is all people needed. They needed a reason to get the console, and once they had it, this was the ticket back into the gaming world. They truly realised the potential of what this console could do, and the fact that there are actually decent video games out there, not just the shovels of shite that was released in the years prior. While R.O.B alone was probably not the device that lasted long, given the fact that he was discontinued just a few years later after release, this did the job, and getting the NES into people's homes became one of the best-selling consoles of all time, revitalising the video game industry and being truly iconic at the same time. All thanks, in a small part at least, to R.O.B the robot. If you liked the video, be sure to like and subscribe. If you want to be notified as soon as I upload my next video, be sure to hit the bell button. And if you've got any ideas for what topics you'd like me to discuss next, let me know down in the comments below. As always, sources used in the video will be in the description. R.O.B might be more useful as a kitchen roll holder or a doorstop or something like that. Certainly more useful than a video gaming buddy, mind you. But my god, you can't deny that if you were a little kid back then, I can almost guarantee that you would see this robot and instantly badger your parents about it for the next 4 months until they bought it for you. Because I knew that I would have done the exact same thing. Nintendo, you brilliant, brilliant bastards. I'll see you guys in the next video. Fantastic.